Our job, I think, for mental health purposes, is to find our torch and carry that torch and not try to carry 20 torches, but just take our torch, walk in the direction that we feel is right and true. And if other people want to come with us, that's terrific. But they don't have to, and it doesn't mean that our torch isn't meaningful.
We came to make a change.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Not Lose Your Shit. I'm Katie Paris, the founder of Red, Wine, and Blue.
And I'm LaFonda Cousin, a part-time yoga instructor, self-care advocate, and the chief people officer here at Red, Wine, and Blue.
Okay, so there's no doubt that elections are important. It's how we ended up with the national nightmare we're all going through right now. But it's also how we can stand up for our families and neighbors at the local level. I haven't heard anyone talk about running for office as self-care, but that was before today. We talked to two badass women, Jill Barkley Roy and Kate Barr, who said that running and helping other women run doesn't just make a difference. It actually helps them feel better. Jill is the director of Emerge Action Fund, an organization that trains women to run for office. And Kate has been fighting against gerrymandering in North Carolina for years. And now she's actually running for office as a Republican as a really smart way to beat those unfair maps. You know, I thought it was really cool how both of them talked about whether it was running for office, as both of them have done, or getting other women to run for office, how it really brings them peace. I mean, Jill talked about how she'd done a boot camp for 25 women who wanted to run for office for the first time and how it just helped her sleep well. You know, she was energized, but it brought her peace. And Kate talked about how doing the intense work of running for Congress, again, helping other women run, that's sort of how she stays sane. That's how she doesn't lose her shit. I related to that a lot. I want to get your advice on this. I'm honestly struggling a little bit with it right now. I feel like I'm so overwhelmed and upset by so many things happening, particularly around ICE separating kids, from their families. I'm so upset by it right now that really the only way I can feel okay is through my work.
Yeah.
We're lucky to get to work on these issues, but I haven't been able to set it down for a single weekend day in a while. Creativity, creative action is the antidote to anxiety. And I feel that. But at the same time, LaFonda, I feel like I am just operating right now, at this level of vibration that is just a little too high, a little too intense. And I know there's a cost to that, not just burnout, but it makes me, am I making the best decisions? Am I planning wisely? So far, no big mistakes, but I recognize maybe I'm putting myself in that position. And so I'm just trying to figure out that balance between to get out of anxiety, it takes action, and feeling a sense of agency does help me not feel anxious. At the same time, how do I discipline myself to bring down that vibration a little bit so I can make sure that I am showing up, whether it's for my colleagues or our volunteers or my kids or, my husband and my family, in a way that is fully present in my full self.
I mean, there has to be some intentionality, right? The creativity might be in the work. And I know that's sort of antithetical to what I normally say about stepping back and taking the time. But I think what's different about some of the work that Red, Wine, and Blue does, our team and you, and the work that we do is driven a lot by creativity. And I think that's where that blending comes in. There's a lot of creativity in how we do our work. And so sometimes when we are in that really anxious space because there's all of these things going on and it's driven by this need to do something to make that difference, to meet those moments, that is when these really great ideas come out. That is when these really effective calls come out to help people get to where we need to be. And I think that's okay. I think that these bursts are okay. That helps us move forward. But I think you also should listen to your mind. I think you should listen to your body. I think you should listen to what's happening around you. Sometimes we are feeling the anxiety in our bodies, and it's really difficult to know when that anxiety is the anxiety that is pushing us forward because it is the right thing to do, and when that anxiety is the anxiety that's saying, this is too much for me. I need to take a break. It is feeling too heavy and I need to slow down. So, what I think
Yeah.
I am saying right now is, are you really listening to your body in those moments to understand when it is, I need to push and be creative? I need to do a little bit more. I need to hear, what creatively is speaking to me because that is the driver. And this is my body saying, you're at the limit. Even if it's just, I need to sit back for 10 minutes and just breathe. I need to take this day, this 24 hours to be by myself. And it might be when you're hitting that wall, right? Like, I'm anxious. I feel like I need to meet this moment. I feel like I need to be doing something. I feel like I need to be moving something forward, but nothing is coming to me. I'm not feeling like I'm working toward anything. I'm feeling like my wheels are spinning. That might be the anxiety that's like, you need to let this one go and step back for a minute and understand where that anxiety is coming from. And if it's the anxiety that's pushing us forward, or it's the anxiety that's telling us we need to take a moment for ourselves and just step away.
That's actually really, really helpful because I think that in my head, I've been saying, okay, no, I'm going to have to block off times where I just like cut it off and tell my kids to hide my phone, something I do sometimes. Um, and like this is the time where I'm going to quote unquote be present fully, doing something else.
Mhm.
And what you are describing, on one level, it's hard because you're asking, okay, like be present with yourself, see where you really are. But on the other hand, I feel like it might be more manageable to me and it feels more practical because it's like, hey, when you're feeling that kind of amped up feeling, just check in with yourself. Make
Mhm.
sure that you're channeling it in a way that really is doing yourself and others good, as opposed to like, I feel like I can work in some gut checks, that can help guide me.
You have to be kind to yourself. We do this work because we're doing the work for other people. But you have to be kind to yourself. You really have to know yourself. And you have to know what your body is telling you.
Okay, guys. LaFonda's giving some sage advice here. The question, I'll report back on how it goes. And in the meantime, we are going to share with you our really inspiring, thoughtful conversation with Jill Roy and Kate Barr. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, you will have that treat. Okay, everybody, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the SAVE Act is back and it's worse than ever. Congress is voting now, so you got to call your member of Congress and tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act. We can help you do this. We can help you find your representative's contact info, and the link to do that, easily get this letter sent off to your members of Congress, is in show notes. Please take this action and share it with everyone you know. We blocked the SAVE Act before, and we can do it again. So today we are joined by two amazing moms, Jill Barkley Roy, the director of Emerge Action Fund, and Kate Barr, who's running for office in North Carolina and is on a mission to stop gerrymandering. Jill and Kate, thank you for joining us on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
It is so good to see your faces. We are going to talk about politics and self-care. What do you think? Can we do it? Can we do the mashup of both today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can't do one without the other.
It's true.
You're singing my song. Let's learn. Let's hear why you think that. So look, let's get a little background though for us, for our audience. You both are working so hard to make sure that we have good candidates, that we have fair elections. Politics can be difficult. It can be off-putting. It can be frustrating. What made you decide to get into this work? Jill, let's start with you.
Well, I feel like I've just sort of always
been surrounded by people who served. And I was raised in a household where my dad served on the school board when I was a kid. And I watched that. And my mom was a social worker. And I just grew up watching people when they felt like there was change that needed to happen, going about and doing something about it. And that's how I was raised. And that's what radicalized me. And I am still in that mode. I just feel like if there is change that has to happen, I want to be part of making it, even when it feels impossible. And I'm truly motivated by a deep love every day of my community, of my state, and my country. And I believe in the women that we have at Emerge who step up every day and say they want to run for office. And honestly, it is so life-giving to witness them do just that. I trained 25 women in our boot camp on Saturday night, and I felt so revved up. I had trouble falling asleep because I was excited, which was a nice change after the week that we've had.
Oh my gosh. I woke up having a nightmare. I'm going to admit it, guys, about ice, like middle of the night.
Yeah.
And that kind of had me revved up in the middle of the night. And what you are describing, far better.
I want to be clear. It was a change. I have had trouble sleeping. I have had trouble staying asleep. I'm feeling really distressed.
Yeah.
And it was just seeing all these women who are also distressed
Yeah.
doing something.
And channeling it.
Yeah.
Productively. Every woman I have ever met who has been through the Emerge program, which for anyone listening who doesn't know about this is not like a one-off go for an afternoon boot camp program for women interested in running for office. This is like a full-on wrap their arms around you, create a community of women who, it sounds like you grew up sort of with political engagement being normalized in your household. And I think many women who come to Emerge, maybe that wasn't true for them, but they're feeling something stirred inside them. And I feel like because you all have this wraparound, really mentoring model of supporting women who are interested in running for office, you create that change in them. It's like a whole culture shift that you create among the women going through it together and in their own lives.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Well, every woman I've ever met who's been through the program just really models that. All right, Kate. So you are a revolution, like a walking revolution. Okay. Like you talk about modeling, like normalizing, engaging in this stuff. I cannot wait for people to hear kind of your backstory in terms of how you came to this and then how you sustain yourself in this as well. Because girlfriend, it's the nonstop. And I can relate. Okay. But like, I need to hear from somebody who is in it all the time.
I do feel like we share maybe some personality. We'll call them features. My husband would call it a bug sometimes, but yeah. And Jill, I want to echo everyone I know that has gone through Emerge has loved it, has grown from it, and has like gone on to do really cool things, often in elected office, but no matter what, really cool things. And so I love y'all. I did not want to be in politics. Like I have my master's in public health. And so I'm very much a like everybody pitch in, do their part, and like let's make a society that is worthy of our children. But I really just wanted to like focus on my career and my family. And I kind of ignored politics. And I was one of those people who thought like, well, the Democrats win and that's better for me. But like if the Republicans win, like everybody's going to figure it out. They all have the best interests of Americans at heart. And then 2016 happened. And like most of white women in America, I think, I was like, shit, I did not do enough. I just like assumed that Hillary was going to win. And I mean, I told my friends to vote and I voted, but I didn't knock a door. I didn't donate money. I didn't like text people or make calls or do anything aside from the bare minimum, frankly, of voting. And I was literally holding my 6-month-old and my daughter in my arms when Trump was elected. And like a thing changes in you where you realize you're going to have to step up and do the thing because as the overused phrase is, nobody's coming to save us. I started in 2016 by just like volunteering a lot in my community and joining boards. And I had a great role model in my mother, just like Jill, but like had kind of ignored that part of my personal history as much as possible to be just focused on daily life. And then in 2023, someone asked me while I was standing in line to get a glass of wine at a Christmas festival in my tiny town, which resembles Stars Hollow for those that are Gilmore Girls fans. They were like, hey, you want to run for a losing state Senate district? In behavioral science, we talk about chaos theory. There's like a certain alignment that when you look back, it makes sense. And you're like, oh, yes, all of these things had to line up this way to result in this outcome, but you couldn't have predicted it looking forward. And that glass of wine was one of those moments for me because it was like, we could start talking about politics differently. If I ran in this race, I could like hop on my soapbox, which is voter power, and it could be fun. And so I said, yeah, and launched Kate Barr Can't Win and somehow now get to talk to you guys. I don't know. It's been a wild ride.
Oh my gosh, this is why they're so scared of the organized gangs of wine moms.
Yes.
Because you're standing in line to get your glass of wine,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, you are fucking shit up. Sorry, running for office, whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
we're liable to make a radical decision, life-altering, just on a whim when we got a glass of wine in our hands.
All I need to know about the gangs of wine moms is if we're dividing ourselves based on varietal or not, right? Like,
Ooh.
If anyone is interested, there is a really good one of my favorite bottles of wine. It's called Chaos Theory. It is by Brown Estates in Napa. It is a Black-owned winery in Napa Valley called Chaos Theory. So just in case anyone is wondering.
Writing that down immediately.
I mean, sounds like they need to be like a sponsor for your campaign.
I feel like, yes.
Yes.
That's really where I was going.
I'm
with
not
that.
taking corporate PAC money, but I will take vineyard money.
Or just a free glass,
Or
whatever.
just in kind. Yeah, an in-kind donation would be welcome.
So, Kate, you are specifically running for Congress in North Carolina in the primaries as a Republican, even though you're effectively not a Republican. Tell us why.
So we, of course, have to talk about gerrymandering, which
Mhm.
basically the way our voting maps are drawn kind of determines everything about how we are or are not represented by our elected leaders. When our elected leaders get to choose how those voting districts are drawn, basically it's like politicians choose their voters instead of voters choosing their politicians. They don't answer to voters. They answer to, corporate donors or to their like party leadership, because the greatest threat to their power is no longer the general election and losing to a candidate from the opposite party. The greatest threat to their power is in the primary election, because the maps have already decided the outcome of the general. That was what Kate Barr Can't Win was about, was calling attention to the fact that our general elections get decided before a single vote is cast based on how these maps are drawn. Part two of that is, given that that's true in the general, now our primaries are where the actual competition happens. And we tend to see best case scenario, 20% voter turnout in a primary election. The man that I'm challenging is like just frankly horrible. He's like super corrupt, but he was effectively elected by 10% of the registered voters in this district, because he won his primary in 2024 by 55,000 votes, and the district is 544,000 people. And that's insane that 10% of the registered voters are choosing who is leading us. And in North Carolina, Democrats can't vote in the Republican primary. It's open to unaffiliated voters and to registered Republicans. And quite frankly, like, I'm at a point with all of this stuff, like, I don't care what letter you have to put next to my name. Like, we have got to hold power to account no matter what. And Congress has got to do its job and exercise some congressional oversight, and they're not doing it. And so voters need the opportunity to say, you're not doing your job, like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Kate, has it changed how you talk to potential voters running with that R by your name?
So not really. Like, I kind of, like, the R is there because it has to be in order to run in the election that decides what happens.
To be in the competitive race, exactly.
Right. But I'm still me, and I don't want to be elected under false pretenses. Like, I tell people exactly what I would do and exactly what I stand for. I'm not different than I was before. And I think we are at a point where we desperately need our leaders to just be honest and transparent. And so if folks don't vote for me, that's fine. Like, you don't have to. This is not about me trying to like pull votes out no matter what it takes. It's really about like, here's this alternative path. If this is what y'all want, it's available to you.
Jill, it sounds like what Kate is describing is a very pragmatic approach to politics.
Yeah.
Is that what you see among women in general? The Emerge program is specifically for women
Yes.
who are running for office or becoming engaged in public service. Is that like a common strand? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, because, so the women that we train at Emerge, we do focus on women at Emerge. We focus on women from the new American majority. So Black, Brown, Indigenous women, LGBTQ plus women, young, unmarried women, and nothing in politics in either party or in the larger, definition of politics was designed for anyone that I'm training, right? Like it's not designed for us. Those systems were designed to keep us out, not welcome us in. So everyone that I train is already coming up against fill in the blank, right? Trying to keep them out of what they're doing. Women that we train are told to wait their turn. Women that we train are told that, that's not the right race for you. Think about this race. Women that we train are told, oh, don't say it like that, or don't talk about that value because, that doesn't quite fit with what we're trying to do, or don't, once they're elected, don't introduce that bill, don't give that floor speech, right? And so, yes, I think that the women that we train are basically saying, I have a voice, I have a mission, I want to do something. This is what I'm going to do. It is my time, and I'm going for it. And they come together to support each other in that shared mission. And that's what we're seeing. We're also seeing right now at Emerge, I think that there are so many people right now. What's giving me hope here in Maine and across the country is that there are a lot of people that were not activated before the last few weeks who are activated and who are engaged. And for me, as I'm a lesbian. I've been working in politics and activism for my entire career. I grew up activated and active and engaged. I can maybe have some feelings about people that weren't activated before now and who weren't engaged before now. And still, it is my role at Emerge to find those women in particular and say, here's something that you can do. Because so many people are going to a protest and then wondering, what else can I do? And when I was training candidates on Saturday night, I said, have the feelings about people not being active and engaged before now. Those are real feelings. Say them to each other right now, and then go get those people and have them volunteer on your campaign.
Amen.
Okay, because we do need everyone who is activated, whether they got engaged 10 years ago, when that's hard to believe, but 10 years ago during the first administration, or they're just now getting engaged in the last few weeks because they realize, there's a famous Angela Davis quote that says, if they come for me in the morning, they'll come for you in the night. And I think that we're starting to wake up and realize that no one is safe. And those of us that weren't safe in the past know that. People are realizing that if there are people who are not safe, we're all not safe. And so let's get those people and let's get them involved and engaged, and let's get them engaged in politics. There's so many races that I see in my life here in South Portland, Maine, where I live, and across the country, where there are races for school board, for city council, for a county-wide race, for a state legislature that go uncontested. We're just letting people walk into those seats. So we have to get creative, and we have to convince people that they can run for those races as well.
I'm curious how you talk to people about that welcoming people in, because I know that there are people sitting in that place of frustration. And we had Melinda Hale on last week, and I asked her this question, and I'm curious how you're responding to people that are in that place of like, we've been here, and I'm really frustrated that it's taken whatever this really catastrophic thing is for people to sort of wake up. But we know that we need those people, right? And I'm curious how you are responding to people with this what we know is necessary, this welcoming and accountability. How are you telling people to welcome people into this place because it's necessary, but also recognizing that place of frustration?
100%. So there's two pieces to that. First of all, it is my job that I get paid to do every day at Emerge Action Fund to figure this out. And I do think that it is my responsibility as a woman who is white to do this work. So regardless of the fact that I'm also queer and I've experienced lots of things on that end, I am white. I have privilege, and I have the ability to talk to people in a way where, I have bandwidth. I have a little bit more bandwidth and I have a little bit more emotional energy and I can do it. And so it's my job. And at Emerge, what we did last year is we created a new series called Emerge Rising. And it was everywhere from civic engagement to serving on boards and commissions to thinking about what a path would look like to eventually running for office. And we created that series at Emerge Action Fund because we were seeing women saying, I want to do something and I don't know what to do. And now I think we're seeing people say, I want to do something. Not only do I not maybe know what to do, but I'm scared to do it. I'm scared for my safety, for my life to do something. And so we've got to capture these folks and say, okay, here's where you can start. And so what I say in one of those trainings, I say, if you go to a protest this weekend, I want you to step back from the protest for a few minutes and look out for people who are walking around with clipboards or look for people who are sitting behind tables. Walk up to those people, find out what organization they work for, and ask how you can get involved. Like, it's that simple, right? Call your member of Congress, call your senator, call your state legislator, call your city councilor, get a meeting with your city councilor, get a meeting with your school board rep, get civically engaged. Think about serving on a board or commission. I mean, I haven't been wrong yet when I've asked someone in a training to Google their boards and commissions in their city. And I'm like, tell me how many vacancies there are, because I guarantee there are. I guarantee there's vacancies on boards and commissions in your city right now. Y'all don't have to do it, but I want folks to serve on boards and commissions. And then I want them to volunteer on campaigns. And then I want them to run for office. Or something, right? Like, if you want to do something, someone actually said to me, like, I just needed someone to hold my hand and walk me through this. And I said, okay, great. It's me. I'll hold your hand. I'll walk you through it. I have time today. And I'm raising a 4-year-old. My wife and I have a 4-year-old. And I feel like I was already pretty unhinged and and involved before. But now that I'm a mom, it's like at another level for me. And I'm like, I have to like fix this. Like, I have to fix this. And I need all of these people to come with me and wake up and realize that they have to fix it too.
Part of what I have found helpful is to think about what's going on in some of these folks' brains, because my goal is to have empathy, right? Like, I was like, Barack Obama got elected, racism is over, white lady. So I also had to go through this process of unlearning a lot of the stuff that comes from being a Southern white woman. So back in COVID times, a lot of people found community online, and a lot of those communities were pretty conservative. People started to make their conservatism and their MAGA-ness part of their identity. And that because we as human beings seek community, that's part of our survival, is to exist in a community. And when we were taken out of our like physical geographic communities, we found that community online and made those communities part of our identity. Then we have the values like religion, family, honesty, like all of these value systems that also exist inside of us. And when your identity and your values are in conflict, that's like an identity crisis, and something has to give. But that's really painful, and that can actually feel like trauma to people. And so the way they handle it is by becoming ostriches and sticking their heads in the sand. It makes us super susceptible to any narrative that can explain away the crisis we're feeling inside between our identity and our values. And that is not the only thing that is happening right now, but it is a piece of what's going on. And it has taken this level of like extreme violent behavior by our federal government for some folks to finally reckon with this crisis between their identity and their values. And like that is painful to them. And we are no better for ignoring their pain, diminishing their pain, telling them that they should have dealt with this sooner. Like, when has anyone saying, I told you so, ever made you want to do anything differently? And so I try to remember that a lot of the people that are showing up right now are people who are feeling pain, reconciling what they thought their government was, what they thought their identity was, and finding that that's wrong. And so it like I have emotional space for that as frankly a straight suburban white mom, that not everyone who has been walking this road for decades or centuries or whatever has, but like I can hold that and should. And also there are a lot of people that look like me that in the last 2 weeks have realized their whiteness isn't going to protect them in the same way that it has before. And that is what has caused the reckoning. And am I glad that that has had to happen? No, but welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for like naming that. I feel the same way as a straight white suburban mom too. It is a lot to hold. It is necessary to hold, and it also can make you lose your shit on a regular basis,
Yep.
which is what this podcast is about. And so that's the question for both of you. Like, how do you find that balance between mental health and politics? You know, sort of the mental gymnastics that you just described, Kate. You know, it that's exhausting, right? But at the same time, what I hear you saying, I don't know, I hear you saying not just that I need to show up, like because of where I am positioned, but and you named this too, Jill, like a need to show up. I hear you both saying you want to. And is there actually like some piece of like healing or mental health there for you too?
I mean, yes. I took a week off at Christmas and we like closed down the office. What I do when I'm not running for Congress is help candidates in gerrymandered losing tier 3 districts run high quality campaigns. And right after candidate filing in North Carolina, we took a week off and I was the most down and blue and like gloomy I have been in years because I wasn't working to make it better. So a piece of it is just knowing that I am doing my part to make it better and not just sitting by complacently. The other part is I have given myself permission to not plug in all the time to what's going on in the world. Like I know what I can do and what I need to do, and I'm going to do those things. And I don't need to perhaps engage with exactly what's going on with the flotilla outside of Gaza right now.
Because you probably can't help with that one right now.
That is not the torch that I can carry. I can point to it and say it is absolutely wrong and that is a genocide and we should be doing things differently. But I can't push that boat. This brilliant man, Lobsang Senge, he's the former president of Tibet who lives in exile in Boston, gave me a pep talk that I hold on to all the time. And it was basically, people always ask him, when will I see a free Tibet? And he says that's the wrong question because that's not in our control. He says the right question is, what can I do today to make sure that when Tibet can be free, it is ready?
Mm.
And so he said, he like very generously was like, you are doing the same work, Kate. You are saying, what can I do today to make sure that when this regime falls, that when we can have fair maps, that when voters can have power back, our country is ready? He's like, that is your torch to carry. Other people may choose to carry their torches alongside. That's awesome. He didn't use the word awesome. He used something like much fancier sounding. But it is still your torch and you carry it, whether anyone carries a torch with you or not. And so our job, I think, for mental health purposes, is to find our torch and carry that torch and not try to carry 20 torches, not try to carry somebody else's torch, but just take our torch, walk in the direction that we feel is right and true. And if other people want to come with us, that's terrific. But they don't have to. And it doesn't mean that our torch isn't meaningful.
I love that framework. So does that resonate for you? I mean, when I think about the work you do at Emerge, it's almost like helping women pick their torch, maybe, right? Like choose
Yeah.
which one.
It is. It is. And for me, I'm an alum of Emerge Maine in the class of 2009. And then I ran for office. I ran for the Maine House in 2010 and came up a little short. It was Obama's first midterm. So it was a tough time for Democrats everywhere. And then I was the executive director here in Maine, and then I went over to the national organization, and I'm still here. And so I feel so lucky that I found Emerge, almost 20 years ago, right? Like I found Emerge, I did find Emerge 20 years ago. I wasn't in the program, but I found Emerge 20 years ago, and I've just continued to sort of to stay the course. This is my lane. I want to encourage people to get involved in politics and run for office. And when Trump was elected in 2016, I was, I was outraged, and we were coming up on the Women's March, right? The Women's March was happening in Washington, D.C. And everyone I knew was like knitting a pink hat and going. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Like what's happening? And it didn't feel right to me. It didn't resonate with me in the same way. And I had a training scheduled that weekend here in Maine for women who are running for office. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay here and I'm going to do that training. My time and my energy is going to get women to get involved in politics and to run for office. And that's just been a drumbeat, like my own heart that I've just heard for years. And again, right, if you think I was unhinged before I became a mom of a little girl, like at me now, like I have this 4-year-old daughter, right? And I think about her all the time. And I think that, this is a place where we a lot of us are feeling helpless and not sure what to do. And so being able to know, like, I'm like, I know what to do. Come with me. It's so amazing. And to be around other women who are doing this, running for office is not easy. I think part of my own self-care is being truthful, and part of my own mental well-being is being truthful. And so I do spend a lot of time compartmentalizing. I spend time each day to feel anger. I spend time each day to feel grief. I spend time each day to find and create and hold on to joy for a 4-year-old little girl. And then I do my job.
There's something comforting in hearing people say, to give yourself the space to hold all of the feelings. I think that sometimes things are so heavy, you feel almost guilty by saying, like, it's okay to experience joy in this moment, right? Or things feel so serious and that we need to feel like we're moving forward. You almost need permission for someone to say it's okay to feel that frustration. I love hearing people say, especially on this podcast, to our people, it's okay to hold all of those different emotions at any given time. Sometimes, some days, for me, all of those things at the same time.
I want to say a thing to the folks who are running for office that I think is so important. And Jill, I even heard almost like an apology in your voice for not winning when you ran. And it is part of my mission in life to like take the outcome out of running. I think we get so focused on running for office resulting in serving in office that we forget the impact and importance of running, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice if you win and you get to go on and serve. That's great. That like furthers the mission, and that's wonderful. But you can also change so much by losing well. There's so much good that happens within a campaign that is completely separate from how voters choose to cast their ballots. One of the things we talk about a lot is defining the wins that are in your control. Like you can't control what the voters are going to do. So what does a winning campaign look like for you? Like what would it mean for that campaign to go well outside of what other people choose to do? And so I don't know, as people are running for office right now, like it's okay if you lose. In fact, it's awesome that you ran and lost. It's awesome if you run and win. Like just run. It's amazing and it's helpful.
I want to take that same perspective to no matter whether people are thinking about running for office, volunteering with a local organization, organizing a group of friends in your community to, run ice patrols, or whether it's just deciding you're going to have potlucks in your neighborhood once a month because you recognize that a community that is caring about each other and talking to each other can really withstand anything, that it is the process that matters. All of that brings us closer together. And like you said, those women who run and lose, I mean, they are the shoulders that one day the candidate who does win stands on, right? And I just think all of this, thinking about engaging as we are inviting women here every day to do, and recognizing that winning the election, like you said, that would be great. And one day we will. And maybe it'll be this time around, but we make it more possible for the future by how we do it along the way. Y'all, that's how you do politics, and you make it self-care.
I love it.
I think that might be the answer. One of them, anyway. I think we got there, y'all. All right. Jill and Kate, we just want to thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for everything you're doing to stand up for your people, your communities, for democracy, for women, for your kiddos, for our kiddos. Just a big old thank you. And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How to Not Lose Your Shit is a podcast from Red, Wine, and Blue. It's hosted by Katie Paris and LaFonda Cousin and produced by Amy Thorstensen. To learn more about Red, Wine, and Blue, you can find us on social media, on the Red, Wine, and Blue app, or on our website at redwine.blue.
Look around, there's something going down, but we're looking up. No matter how they try to take us down, we're gonna keep it up. We move with confidence, we're making a difference wherever we are. Good trouble is not too far. We've got the fire, we've got the grit, through the thick of it. So powerful we are. So powerful we are. So if you see us coming, just know we're making a change, and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together and we can stop the rain. Just know that if we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. Together, side by side, troublemakers, heads held high. Oh, the journey may be long, but we still keep singing our song. So if you see us coming, just know we're making a change, and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together, and we can stop the rain. Just know that if we came to make a change. If you see us coming, just know we're making a change, and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together, we can stop the rain. Just know that if we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. Make a change, make a change, make a change, make a change. Oh yes, we came to make a change. R-W-B. We came to make a change. R-W-B. We came to make a change.